In this problem, we are given a function, which happens to be a quadratic function, f of x equals x squared minus 7x plus 2. In part A, we are asked to find and simplify f of x plus h. In part B, we're asked to find and simplify this fractional expression, which is called the difference quotient. So let's start with f of x plus h in part A, and remember what that function notation means. This tells us to put x plus h in place of all x's in the original function that's given. That's what that notation is telling you to do. So just very carefully replace every x with x plus h in the original function. And then we simplify this expression. Now, when you have the square of x plus h that we have right here, that means x plus h times x plus h. And x plus h times x plus h requires the FOIL process to multiply that out. So multiplying x plus h times x plus h, and write it out if you need to, you should get x squared plus 2 copies of x times h plus h squared. Then minus 7 times the quantity x plus h, we have to use the distributive property to distribute that 7 through the parentheses. So that'll give us a negative 7x and a negative 7h, those two terms. And then we still have the plus 2 at the end. So there's not anything that we can do to simplify this. So that is part A completed. There are no like terms that can be combined there, so we stop right there. Now part B, the difference quotient, f of x plus h minus f of x, all divided by, sorry about that. So the rest of the difference quotient, of course, we divide by h. Now, there is absolutely no reason to redo the f of x plus h part. So we already know what that is. That was our answer to part A up here. So we can just copy that down. X squared plus 2xh plus h squared minus 7x minus 7h plus 2. And then we need to subtract our original f of x. Now make sure when you subtract the original f of x, you put it inside parentheses so you subtract all three terms. So x squared minus 7x plus 2. And that whole thing gets divided by h. Make sure that fraction bar goes all the way across. So then what we have is x squared plus 2xh plus h squared minus 7x minus 7h plus 2, and then we need to distribute the subtraction through the parentheses. So minus x squared plus 7x minus 2. And that whole fraction bar divided by h. Now, what is going to happen here every single time you do one of these, now it may take more than one step to do it on more complicated problems, but it will always happen if you have done this correctly that at some point along the way, every term that does not contain the letter h will cancel out. So x squared here and a negative x squared here, a negative 7x and a positive 7x, a positive 2 and a negative 2 all add to 0. So every term that remains contains a factor of h. All the terms that do not contain a factor of h will cancel out at some point in this process. Now, some problems it takes more than one step to do it, but this one it was just the one step. So we have 2xh plus h squared minus 7h remaining in that numerator. And we still have the h in the denominator. So now what we have in common, we have h. So h can be factored out of the three terms in the numerator, leaving us inside some parentheses with 2x plus h minus 7. And then at that point, the h factor in the numerator and the h in the denominator divide to make 1, and we are left with our final simplified answer to part B will be 2x plus h minus 7. Now, it doesn't matter what order those terms are in, obviously, but 2x plus h minus 7 is what you get for the answer to B after you simplify the difference quotient. Hope that helps.